Hey guys, I'm really excited to be making this video today. I just finished neurology, which ended up being perhaps the most intense experience of my third year medical school, even more intense than surgery. And I think part of the reason is because a lot of the patients I was helping to take care of had strokes, they had neurological problems, and so that's the kind of situation where a patient might even have trouble swallowing, but is still aware of everything that's going around, of having emotions, of wanting to speak but not being able to speak, and just kind of emotionally, I think it was a challenge to try to know how to deal and to know how to cope with that kind of situation for me. But some of my classmates, they thrived on that kind of interaction, and I think for me, I had to learn a lot on how to relate to that. The main point, I think, is that please let your friends and family members know how to recognize signs and symptoms of a stroke. Please refer back to my last video on that, because most people know how to recognize heart attack, but not a brain attack, not a stroke. And it's unfortunate because if you get to the hospital quickly enough, then you can reverse a lot of strokes. And so please try to get yourself educated, and if you already know about stroke, please share it with your family and friends. In terms of today, I want to share with you all kinds of really random stuff. This video will not talk about more of the conventional aspects of interviews, in terms of what questions people ask you, how to dress, how early to show up. And for more information on that, I don't really know what a good website is, but if you do know, please send me a link and I'll try to post it up. Today I wanted to share with you something I learned from a Harvard Business School professor. It was a lecture for medical students on interviews from the perspective of a Harvard Business School, a prominent member who is on the faculty, who's on the admissions committee to Harvard Business School, who is often coaching companies how to pick their applicants. So hopefully this will be applicable to not just college students or medical students, but also to business people and to lawyers and to everybody. There was a lot of stuff covered in the lecture, but I thought I would just start off with some of the questions, some of the advice he gave us. The general advice that sounds very general, but I think ends up being very helpful if you can actually follow through. The first thing is he always gets his business school students to think about, how do people experience you? And that might actually be a question that an interviewer may ask you. They might ask you that openly and directly, or they might be thinking about that subconsciously. That's a very important question. And some of the ways you can help yourself answer that question is you can tape yourself, videotape the way I'm doing on YouTube, but you don't have to share it to the world. You can just tape yourself for 15 minutes and tape yourself reading a passage from a newspaper or a book, and ask yourself, does that sound like you? A funny story that he shared was that his students would tell him, I tape myself and it doesn't sound anything like me. And then he would go and tell them, well, if you don't even know what you sound like, how do you expect to know the answer, how do people experience you? If you don't even know if you catch yourself by surprise, then what about other people's experiences with you? He actually goes further to say that if taping yourself, looking at yourself, if that catches you by surprise, then that is a problem. That is something you have to work on. You have to be more aware of yourself. And I think that is, for a lot of my classmates and I, that actually ended up being a key piece of advice. So going further,